Odyssey Sports broadcast is brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
The Dallas Cowboys Radio Network is on the air.
Deep fade, left corner of the end zone, 1-for-1. Caught the ball. Touchdown. Touchdown, Cowboys.
With Brad Sham, Babe Loffenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiafalo, and Brian Broaddus. Brought to you by
AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
Also brought to you by
Bell Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods, get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here's Eric Chiafalo and Brian Broaddus.
All right, we're 60 minutes to kick off for the Cowboys preseason finale here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Great to have you in the official pregame show of America's team, Cowboys and Falcons here at AT&T Stadium. I'm Eric Chiafalo alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Brian Broaddus, and we're ready for some football before we get to the real thing, baby. Broaddus, the preview brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We got Jaden Blue playing tonight. We'll find out more here soon from Christy Scales, but that's at the top of my list.
Yeah, no really pitch count, by the way, too. Asked some people in the organization, was Blue going to be limited because of any medical concerns, and was told absolutely not. So any opportunities that he gets, this will be coach's decisions, and we'll see how much he plays. I also got an update on Guyton as well, and he's proceeding fairly well. To the point where you might see him week 1, but they're working in that direction. So hopefully some injury news as we get this preseason finished up and be ready to go.
All right, let's go ahead and welcome in Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales on the field here at AT&T Stadium to give us the scoop. Christy, what do you know?
Well, some guys that have played in the second preseason game that aren't going to be playing, and some young guys who proved enough in the first 2 weeks that they are going to be suited out, but only go in the game in case of emergency tonight. So let me run down those guys. I'm going to call this break glass in case of emergency. Okay,
Ooh, I like this.
and this is good because it means that they've shown enough in training camp, and as I say, in those first 2 games. One of them is Nate Thomas, left tackle.
Wow.
So, yeah, and plus, if Guyton's not going to be back, you mentioned him. You don't want to risk anything happening to him and being without both Guyton and Thomas possibly in the season opener. And then veteran offensive tackle Hakeem Adeniji. Again, it'll be, go through warm-ups and he'll be suited up, but he'll only enter the game if there's an injury situation at offensive tackle. Now, defense, Donovan Ezaraku, who's your second-round pick, a pass rusher and, award winner out of Boston College. They've seen enough of him, and they certainly know what they have in Maris Leofau at linebacker, the second-year linebacker, and then safety Wanye Thomas, that, again, they'll be suited up, but if they go in the game, it's not good news because there's injury stuff going on. One player that I was really hoping would take advantage of an opportunity tonight to get a lot of playing time is tight end John Stevens, because with the knee injuries the past couple years, he just has gotten so little playing time and missed the first 2 seasons with the injuries. But his knees swelled up again this week, and so he's not going to play. And then Luke Schoonmaker suffered the concussion in practice on Tuesday night, the open practice at the Star in Frisco. So he's not playing. So 4 of your 7 tight ends are not going to be playing tonight because Brevin Spanford is still out with the ankle. Right. And of course, Jake Ferguson, he's one of the starters that doesn't play in preseason. So long looks tonight at tight end for Princeton Fant, Rivaldo Fairweather, and Tyler Neville. And Tyler Neville, guys, I know you've talked about him before, but he's my Rudy. He's the guy that if you want a long shot guy to root for, someone who was born without hearing and had 20 surgeries starting at age 2 so that he could hear, sunken chest syndrome at age 14 and had to have steel bars underneath his sternum and his ribs so that his chest wouldn't collapse on his heart and lungs. And then at age 15 is diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, I mean, he's a survivor already just to play in college at Harvard and then transfer and play a final year at Virginia. A survivor just to be on this earth, much less play college football and be signed as a rookie free agent with the Cowboys. But, one of these real Rudy stories, if you want to have an emotional investment sometimes in these final preseason games, to have someone to root for. And then finally, Deuce Vaughn just came past. We have the specialists coming out, so we have the kickoff and punt returners working their way out. Deuce Vaughn is your game captain tonight for offense. On defense, it's cornerback Keemon Hall, and on special teams, it's Jalen Brooks.
Wonderful. Christy, you're the best. Thanks so much. We'll catch up with you here in just a few minutes.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales here on the pregame show, brought to you by SeatGeek. Okay, any takeaways from that?
Yeah,
Broadus?
Nate Thomas, congratulate to him. Now it's going to be close to see. They're going to have to make a decision if, in fact, Guyton can get back and start to practice a little bit for that Philadelphia game. Do you go with Nate Thomas? It sounds like to me, with him not playing tonight, Nate Thomas is probably going to be your starter, I would guess, in week 1. I just kind of feel like that they're holding him back there with the thought of maybe like we're going to go with the guy that's probably been playing, probably been practicing, and it's just kind of a guess. Even though Guyton is working his way back, I just kind of feel like this tells me a little bit that, hey, give him some credit. There's, you kind of felt like that maybe that Awesome Richards would be a guy we thought. I know me personally, I thought Awesome Richards was going to compete with Guyton for that spot, but here comes Nate Thomas, and then he's now looks like that he's kind of leaning that way to being the guy in week 1. I would say now that they're holding him back in this game.
Yeah, it's either that or they don't want to risk him getting banged up, and now all of a sudden you got a huge question going into week 1, and you feel like, okay, do we have to rush Guyton back or whatever? I mean, that's a touchy spot right there at left tackle. But yeah, Hakeem Adeniji
as well too.
Ezeraku probably not going to be playing other than an emergency situation. Leafau and Wanye Thomas, and then the tight end situation. I mean, Fairweather has obviously made some plays. The Neville story that Christy just gave us is absolutely unbelievable. I don't think many people knew all the details on that backstory, but that's pretty crazy. And then Broadus told us a few minutes ago, Jaden Blue, it looks like he's going to be a full go, and we'll see how much the coaches want to involve him, but there shouldn't be any type of pitch count or injury limitations there. So
not at all.
That's all fantastic news. All right, we're just getting started here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys live at AT&T Stadium. We have the Coach's Corner with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by with Brian Schottenheimer. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and
That's crownroyal.com. Please drink responsibly.
All right, we're just about 45 minutes to kick off preseason finale, Cowboys and Falcons here at AT&T Stadium, and we'll go into the owner's box with Jerry Jones, Christy Scales, her conversation with him coming up here in just a few minutes. But right now, it's time to throw things over to the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, for tonight's Coach's Corner, and he's standing by with Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Brad, the floor is yours.
All right, fellas, thanks very much. With Coach Brian Schottenheimer on the last preseason game, 3 of 3. I was thinking about this preseason stuff. By the way, I'm not going to ask you any Joe Milton questions, just so you know. I think you've been asked them all. I think we've heard all the possible answers. I'm tired of it. So if that's all right with you.
You can ask me anything you want, Brad. I love visiting with you and having a conversation.
Thank you very much. I think when your dad was coaching, they probably played 6 preseason games, full pads, starters played, and even when they cut it to 4. Well, now we're at 3, and we're at the lip of the cup of playing 2. There's a kind of a pervasive feeling that when we get to this one tonight, it's kind of like the first 3 quarters of an NBA game. You have to go through this in order to get to where you want to go, but nobody's really interested in it. How do you feel about this last preseason game, the way the world is now?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to look at it, Brad. I think, the biggest thing for me is all those things you're saying, they really do, there's a lot of merit to it, unless you're those guys fighting tooth and nail to keep their dream alive. And we've got a lot of guys that are in very intense and very competitive position battles. And I think if you were talking to them, it's like the NBA Finals. It's like the NCAA championship game in men's basketball, whatever it is. Like, this is potentially their last shot with the Cowboys or with the Falcons as we line up tonight to play. And to them, it should be a very, very serious and significant deal. And my big belief is that, again, the guys that aren't playing, which there'll be quite a few of those guys that aren't playing, that they're there cheering those guys on every step of the way.
And so the ones who are fall into various categories, and there are a couple. I'm not sure if they're the 2 guys I'm going to ask you about are both on the list of not playing. But I was thinking about your defensive players, and you've been here now 3 years. And your defensive players who have been here at least 3 years are now in their 3rd scheme. And that's a lot to process in a sport that is dependent on repetition and routine. So 2 guys I want to ask you about. One's Damone Clark, who just seems to have been completely revitalized. Didn't look like the last staff was really that interested in him. And it looks like Matt Eberflus has found his pilot light and turned it on. Is there a difference in Damone Clark? Is it the way that he's being asked to play in the scheme? How do you view that?
Well, I think a lot of it is, Damone's a guy that when we brought him here out of LSU, we loved the traits. We loved the ability to run. We love those things. And, yes, the scheme changes are difficult. And, again, we feel like we've done a service to ourselves by bringing in Matt and an incredible defensive staff. But I think the biggest thing for Damone has been just the maturity and maturing, becoming an NFL player. And when he sees something now, he doesn't second-guess himself. He reads his triangle, he reads his keys, and if he sees something, he fires his gun. And that's what you see. That's what you notice every day. But he also fits the blueprint, if you will, of a linebacker in the Matt Eberflus, Rod Marinelli. Obviously, Cowboy fans know a lot about Rod, that defense where he's got length, he's got size, he's got the ability to run, and you're seeing him right now play with a lot of confidence. And I think it's not just the system. I think it's the fact that Damone is excited about how he fits into this defense, but more importantly, he's maturing as a football player. And that's why a lot of times we're all guilty of it, a little too quick sometimes to judge young players because it is quite a leap from college to the NFL.
The other guy I want to ask you about hadn't been here 3 years, but it's his 2nd. But confidence comes to my mind. Andrew Booth is a guy who came in last year during camp, really seemed to struggle when he got on the field in the regular season. The one thing I've noticed when you or your staff have talked about him this summer has been all positive. And I'm wondering the same thing about Booth. Is he a different guy than last year? Is he just kind of growing up in pro football? How do you view, because cornerback is such a fraught position for you right now, how do you view him?
Well, it's one of those positions where you have to have a short-term memory. You're going to give up plays. You're going to give up completions. He did that actually last week. He gave up a couple easy conversions. There was a contested one on third down where they hit kind of a quick out on him and early in the game. And as the game kind of gets going, a lot of times these corners start to use their instincts. They start to feel the game. They start getting a better sense of the quarterback, his footwork, the route combinations that are going to happen. And what I would say is this. I think, like I said, coming from Minnesota last year, getting traded here, that's a big change. You go there as a second-round pick. You think, oh, hey, I'm the future of this. And then you're like, whoa, they don't want me? Like, they sent me somewhere else, and where am I going? Okay, I'm going to Dallas. And there's a lot that goes into that from a mental standpoint. And I think the new staff coming in has been great. One of the things that we believe is we believe in, building confidence in our guys and coaching them. We're going to coach them hard. We're going to tell them what they're doing right and wrong. But I do think that guys like Flus and David Overstreet and Andre Curtis have done a great job of building him up, allowing him to play off of his instincts and the things he does well, which I think is allowing him to play with a lot of confidence right now.
All right, finally, two guys I want to ask you about on offense. One of them, Jadon Blue, we're going to see for the first time tonight. You've seen him plenty in practice, but I know he's been frustrated at not being able to get out there in the last 2 weeks and show you what he can do. So you like him. You clearly have a vision for how he can help. How do you handle getting him some work to feel good and for you to feel good about him and not overexpose him to injury anymore?
Yeah, I think that's always the fine line. I mean, if you're going to play, you can only go out to play one way, and that's it. Hey, I'm going to go play the game, and we're a little bit that way. As you know, we have kind of pitch counts and numbers that we're trying to get for certain guys. He's a guy that probably needs to play a little bit more than he would if he had gotten some action in the first 2 preseason games, and again, I don't think that there's any concerns about him as a football player, but you do want to go watch him play in an NFL game and see how this week of preparation leads up to it. And the first time he's going to get truly popped and tackled and taken to the ground in quite a bit of time from leaving Texas. But it's definitely a fine line. We've got a projection for him that we think we'll hold to. But sometimes when guys go in and they play really, really well and they jump off the film, you're kind of like, okay, let's pull him a little bit earlier than maybe we wanted to see. A few more plays, but I'm good.
All right, thanks for the time. Have fun tonight.
Absolutely, we will.
All right, fellas, back to you.
Thank you, Brad. Tonight's Coach's Corner brought to you by Gillette, the official shave of the Dallas Cowboys. And tonight's game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium is brought to you by Tostitos, the official chip of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, unpacking a little bit of what Shotty had to say. Obviously getting some love there for Damone Clark, who certainly had one of his best games as a Cowboy last week.
Yeah.
And then giving us a little bit more into the framework for Jadon Blue tonight.
Yeah, Jadon Blue will be exciting to see him play. It's not like Coach is interested in taking a good look at him in some game action. If I circle back with Clark, practices were very, very good there in Oxnard, and then played the Rams game and kind of fell back into like some of the bad habits. You didn't see the instinctual stuff, the things. You're kind of like looking at linebackers and you're going, man, come on, you practice so well, and then you can't carry it from the field to the game, but. Last week, he was really, really, really good in the game, and maybe it had something to do with, too, maybe the Ravens were a little bit more basic than what you see from the Rams.
Yeah, that helps.
But it helps. But he definitely stepped up last week as opposed to the week before.
Good to hear about the Jadon Blue stuff, though. I think that's the guy that most Cowboys fans are excited to see. And hopefully we'll see Joe Milton take another step, be a little bit more comfortable tonight, and treat this a little bit more like a regular season game where he's going out there to really try and be his best, win the football game.
Yeah.
Maybe see him use his legs a little bit more. Hopefully he can settle in, be accurate. But Jadon Blue is going to be the star of the show tonight, so hopefully he gets in there and jumps off the screen like Shotty was talking about. You don't have to overuse him, but it'd be nice to see a few plays going, okay, that's the guy we're looking for.
Yeah, and you hope you don't see Joe Milton. You hope this is the last time you see Joe Milton the rest of the year.
Amen to that.
This is where you're at.
All right, let's go into the owner's box with Jerry Jones live here from AT&T Stadium. We're under 45 minutes to kick off for the preseason finale. Cowboys and Falcons. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
You've heard the phrase, all hat, no cattle. Well, Whataburger's new bacon...
blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Here's Eric Giafalo and Brian Broaddus.
All right, it's your Cowboys pregame show live here at AT&T Stadium. Let's go into the owner's box, hear from Jerry Jones, brought to you by Yeti, the official cooler of the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Christy, take it away.
Well, Jerry, you're a proud Arkansas Razorback. I'm a proud Texas Aggie, but we do have friends who are Texas Longhorns, even though it pains us to admit that. I have heard from so many of my Longhorn friends who are excited to see rookie running back Jaden Blue, and he finally gets to make his Cowboy debut tonight after missing the first 2 games due to injury. What should we expect to see from Jaden tonight?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of him because I've got 4 grandchildren that are graduates of the University of Texas and one that just left the football down there in Paxton. So he's in good territory with me. I used to just wake up at midnight, raise up like Dracula, thinking about playing those Longhorns or playing A&M down there at Kyle Field. So we're not going to hold that against them. We got too many Cowboy fans out of that whole bunch. So glad to see Jalen get over his he had a little nick, nothing serious. This will give him a good chance to show what he's got. What he adds is extra speed that we don't have anyplace else as far as running back. So we'll be looking at him promisingly.
Well, there's a real battle at running back, and Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is a game captain for tonight, and he seems like he had a really solid training camp. What's being said behind on how Deuce has done this summer?
Done very well, and he was exceptional in his pass blocking last week, really notably so. And that's a real, got a lot of indicators there, not only the willingness to make that a big part of the best part of your game. And he sees that. And because of his stature, he's shorter. Then that's always the rap. Well, how is he going to be able to help us with pass blocking? Because you have to be able to help in pass blocking when you're not running with the ball. So he had a good game last week. Hopefully he can keep it going this week.
I'm glad you mentioned pass blocking. I'm going to flip the script and talk about pass rushing because there's always some guys who kind of come out of nowhere. And there's a guy like James Houston, a veteran free agent that you signed early in camp on a tryout. But so guys like James Houston, how do you see the overall pass rush coming together?
Well, I think it's, frankly, our defensive ends may be the best depth where we have the most talent of any position on the field. So I'm excited about our depth and our numbers at pass rusher. Plus, they call it Gumby, or they call it instincts, whatever you want to. But these guys, most of those handfuls of people have natural pass rush ability. They have an ability to explode. Then they have a second explosion. They can bend so that if they get backwards by the blocker, then they can run through it with their feet. All of those things these guys show promise of. And so I'm concerned because of having space on the roster to keep that many of our guys that have pass rushing ability.
I got one last player to ask you about, is because there's also a battle on 5th and or 6th wide receiver, young man Ryan Flournoy. And I understand he's going to get some extra reps special teams at gunner. But what are you hear? What's being said behind the scenes on number 19, Ryan Flournoy?
Well, he had a year last year that really got our attention on his big play making ability. Great instincts to contort and get the ball, really. Now, the king of that was Des Bryant, go up to get a ball. And this guy we got, Brown, is no slouch at doing the very same thing. So he's got some skills that could really have him in the mix.
We appreciate the visit. Thanks so much, Jerry. Look forward to seeing these young guys really show out in the preseason finale. And as we continue counting down to kickoff between the Falcons and the Cowboys, let's turn things back over to Brian and Eric.
Thank you so much, Christy. And tonight's pregame show is brought to you by Aero Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. And a big shout out to Legends Hospitality, by the way. They're getting it done at a high level. As always, it's the preseason, but they're in mid-season form. Tostitos Ultimate Nachos is on the menu tonight here at AT&T Stadium. We're talking super thick cut Tostitos tortilla chips with the hot nacho cheese sauce, hearty Texas chili topped with fresh pico de gallo, and jalapenos. They just hit it out of the park tonight. How about the coverage on those nachos? Okay, there wasn't a single plain Tostitos chip, even though I actually eat Tostitos chips plain because they are that dominant. The coverage was just impeccable.
Well, speaking of coverage tonight, Eric, though, I saw Kalen Carson warming up for the Cowboys. So finally, tonight we're going to see Kalen Carson, cornerback, Wake Forest, on the field tonight. We see him early in camp. This is the second season where he started camp, got hurt, and now he's back on the field, and he's dressed and ready to go. So you'll probably see number 21 in some action tonight.
Really? Okay, that's huge, man.
Yep.
We haven't. He's kind of gotten.
We have not talked about him at all.
Yeah,
really, and we've just talked about him in a way of where is he? You know why? You know, and with all the issues that they've had at cornerback, it would be super. It just would be outstanding if he comes out tonight and shows you some things cover-wise that makes you feel like, hey, this is why we drafted this. There's a lot of guys that had Carson as like a third-round type of cornerback, got taken in the fifth, but, man, injuries, lack of confidence, all these things have kind of curtailed his career a little bit. Hopefully he gets it turned around for him tonight.
Yeah, that would go a long way in helping us feel a little bit better about the status of that cornerback room. Jerry was talking about how he feels great about the edge depth.
Gumbies.
Yeah, he's got the Gumbies there on the edge. He's feeling good about it, but the DB room is the exact opposite. And so having Kalen Carson, just suited out and ready to go is exciting, but is he a guy that you could see having some nickel opportunities as well?
Kind of more of an outside guy right now.
Okay.
So, I think that these corners, they try to have some flexibility. I just want to see him play on the outside. I just want to see him play.
Same
How about that?
Absolutely.
I mean, if it was one of those things where all of a sudden he's been having a whole training camp practices and he's played, 2 other preseason games, you'd have a really good feel about him. But right now you don't. And that's something I think he's going to have to show you something tonight. I really do. Yeah,
it would be great to see Kalen Carson step up tonight in his first action of the preseason. Of course, a guy like Zion Childress is a guy that has played pretty well throughout the preseason, undrafted free agent rookie, and he could be a guy that is starting for you night one in Philadelphia in your nickel corner spot. So now they mentioned James Houston. Christy brought up James Houston on the edge. That's a guy that at this point, he's got to be a lock to make the roster.
He's dressed and ready to go tonight. Watching the warm-ups, he's got his they brought all the edges together, and he's dressed. So you're going to see him play, him and also Turner as well. Will probably be the ends, and with Wheat, and we'll see how how everything else shakes from there. But he had his full uniform on, so maybe he'll solidify that roster spot tonight. We'll see. No Sam Williams tonight, though. See,
so that makes him more of a lock, you think?
If you're just reading who's dressing and who's not dressing, it's
that could tell the story a little bit.
It can tell a story. It absolutely can.
That's either this is a guy locked to make the roster, or maybe we want to trade him. We don't want to get him hurt. I mean, could that be a possibility?
Could be.
Mozzie Smith is suited up and ready to go tonight as well. All right, it's the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go inside the booth with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, Dallas Cowboys fans. Hope y'all are ready for game day. We all know a car accident can put anyone on the sideline.
Roger that. Roger that, Sally.
finale, Cowboys and Falcons. Let's go inside the booth with the legendary Brad Sham. Brought to you by the WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Brad, happy game day, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting when you say let's go. Do you think people know that you've actually been here for like 4 hours?
I guess it's you know what? I think that we do have the tried and true just listen every second listeners.
It's a great point, though. In this medium, we expect them to turn over every 15 minutes.
That's right.
And when you turn over about there every 15 minutes, wake up and then turn back over again.
That's right. Yeah. Always flip it back. We're 4 quarters away from getting into some real football, which is exciting for all of us. But tonight, jobs are on the line for sure. And we get to see Jaden Blue for the first time. What did you notice about him in Oxnard before he got banged up?
He seemed to be, going pretty well. It's so hard, even when they put pads on, because they say, we'll thud. But, they're not blocking anybody to move them out of the way, and they're not, tackling to the ground. And so you can tell some, but you can't tell even like you can in a preseason game. But he looked like he was doing pretty well. You were out there, Brian, when he was playing. He looked like he was doing pretty well.
Absolutely. And, I kind of felt like that, he's the one that Jerry Jones even said it, the guy they have that has the burst, has that different gear in handing him the football. And it'll be nice to see him get some opportunities. Hopefully, the one thing I noticed about him was when it was helmets and T-shirts, the reads weren't as quick for him, but when it went full pads, all of a sudden things started he's like, oh, there I go, I go.
Give me full speed. And I think I remember Schottenheimer saying in his pregame conversation that would be the kind of guy that you would say, we have a plan in mind for a number of plays, but if we see what we like, we might not expose him to injury any longer than necessary. Get him out of there. It's an interesting case with him, Eric, because they know he's going to make the team.
Right.
Yeah. And he has had neither the last 2 weeks the opportunity to elevate his status on the depth chart or to bust out. Bottom out. He hasn't had the chance to fail or succeed.
Right.
So I think he's on the team. I talked to him the other day. He is a very confident young man. I was having, believe the exact quote was, I was having the best camp of any of the backs.
Yeah.
And then I got hurt. So okay.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead and believe it, man.
Brad, when we were talking about running backs here, I don't have a clue about how this order is going to be
in the real season.
Yeah, in the real season. I know that it's like Williams didn't play last week and he's not playing again.
Williams is clearly RB1 because they haven't shown him the field.
Yeah.
So he's number one.
See, that's to me, I wonder if he honestly is the best back.
Well, he probably is to start the year. Will he be in October? Who knows?
Sure.
But right now, that's what they think, and I haven't seen anything to dissuade me from that. I am interested in the fact that Miles Sanders is not playing tonight.
Right.
I would have thought that you would want to see a little bit more of him. And how many times have we seen this? Everyone's fallen in love with Maffa.
They're going to keep 4 backs.
But does that include Lipke?
They're going to keep 5 then.
Okay, because I think they've seen enough of Phil Maffa to say, oh yes, we drafted him for a reason. Let's keep him.
See,
if you do that, and then you keep Williams, and then you keep Blue, now you're going to keep Sanders and Lipke, and some of that depends on what your cornerback numbers are.
That's exactly why I don't feel I know this position well.
Right.
I feel like that we're going to sit in a meeting on reduction day, and it's going to be, and somebody's going to stand up and fight for, and it's going to be, okay, we're going to keep 5, and
but
then you're going to take.
Wait, but which of the? If you tell me that about these wide receivers, okay, which running back is someone going to stand up on the table and say we cannot cut?
Somebody's going to stand up for Phil Maffa, even though it's redundancy in the type of backs they have.
However, younger. A guy who clearly looks like that to me makes sense that you would want to keep Maffa.
Right.
So I don't think
I'm not against Maffa. I'm just saying they're going to go long at a position they probably don't have to go long at. That's what I'm saying.
So what is long at running back?
Long is 1 extra. That would be 4. That would be
4 plus Lipke?
4 plus Lipke.
Okay, yeah. I will bet you that they do not go long to the tune of 5 at running back.
Okay.
And it's a chocolate chip Frito cookie
It's
on
not
the
that.
line.
It's not that. But, now it may be wide receiver. It may be.
You got to go short somewhere. If you're going to go long one at running back, you got to go 5 wide receivers?
Maybe. You've also got an interesting decision at defensive end, which Jerry was talking about with Christie before, because now I'm interested in the fact
saw
that
Houston dressed.
I believe Houston is going to start, I think. Or else, Wheat's going to start.
Okay.
So those two
Turner
guys.
and Wheat?
Those two guys, Houston and yes, Turner and Wheat.
Right.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, but Peyton Turner, he's a very nice young man. I've talked to him a few times, but I don't think he's going to be able to survive this competition because Houston and Wheat are kind of the same guy.
Yep.
Linebacker size, both rush the passer well, and both really do well on special teams.
Right.
Houston has, to his benefit, having like an 8-sack year as a rookie in Detroit. So in those meetings that you're talking about, you may have to get to 6 defensive ends, because I don't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah. Scout's eyes. Flournoy has been better than any other wide receiver on special teams. Scout's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I still say if Joe Milton had not been horrendous in Los Angeles,
we'd be talking about him.
Flournoy would be a guy they'd be talking about. Well, he's going to be right behind Turpin.
Right.
So that's the wide receivers are the ones that I'm most interested. And then the other thing that is telling to me is because they tell you a lot by who they don't play.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew Booth, who last year I thought was horrible.
Yeah.
And he was a body. And the Vikings drafted him second and didn't want him.
Right.
And so now he's played pretty well, but he's not playing tonight because they have to protect him because they're so thin at corner.
Right.
They cannot afford to lose Andrew Booth.
Unbelievable. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I thought they were going to play Carson, but that was...
No, that was Malik Davis.
I'm sitting there going, gosh, dang it. And then I was looking like, okay.
You still have 4 of your projected top 5 corners injured and unavailable until sometime in September. They will not be ready for Philadelphia.
You going to claim a cornerback then off waivers?
A cornerback? I mean, I wouldn't preclude it or trading for one. Let me see.
Okay.
Brad Sham, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, boys.
All right, it's time for Christy Scales.
How old is this Whataburger? Because you can have this, if you get hungry.
Okay, thank you, Brad Sham. Always looking out. All right, Keys to the Game with Christy Scales, brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, what do you know?
Well, Joe Milton's going to get into the third quarter. Will Greer is going to get more action tonight. Fourth quarter and maybe part of the third. It depends how well Milton plays. If he has a lights-out first half, Greer may get the entire second half, but one of the keys to the game is seeing, just more accuracy and touch and delivering the ball on time from Joe Milton. And as for the running backs, we are excited to see Jaden Blue, but, Deuce Vaughn, this is a really big night for him, in my opinion, and he is the game captain tonight for the offense. And I just want to add to one thing you guys were talking about with Flournoy, in competition for that 5th or 6th wide receiver spot. And what in regards to special teams, he is going to get more work tonight as the gunner, because Jalen Brooks has been the gunner along with C.J. Goodwin. I asked C.J. before just about 30 minutes ago which young guy really needs to show out on teams, and he said, I just want to make sure Flournoy gets enough work at gunner that he can show in the game what he's shown so far in camp.
Love it, Christy. Thank you so very much. We'll be listening. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales here on the Cowboys pregame show. That'll do it for us. Broadus, thanks so much, my man.
Thank you, sir.
The preseason finale around the corner with Brad, Babe, and Christy. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
The big game is coming, and we're all wondering, have you gotten your Tyson Cowboys nuggets yet? Head on down to your local grocery store to pick up a pack.